All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to BGB Podcast live recording today. I'm Drygon, as you know, a High Council member here, and with me I have Berry Temple of Bananas, or Dank Bananas, as you might know him. How you going, Dank?
Doing very well, good sir. Doing very well. How are you?
Good, good, very good. And we are meant to have Alex here with us, but he seems to be offline at the moment. But we are going to push on, and we're going to do a bit of an intro and let you guys know what we're about and what we're trying to do. And if he joins us later, that would be great. But otherwise, we've got some other things planned. So I'd just like to start by letting everyone know that none of this is financial advice. This is just meant to be a few guys having a chat about gaming and play to earn gaming and everything sort of revolving around that. So please do your own research. Crypto is inherently risky, and you need to make sure that you are safe and cover all of your bases. So please, please, please do your own research. And none of this is financial advice. Also, as Dank Bananas and myself and JD, who's not here with us today, are all High Council members, we also just wanted to say that nothing on this show will be alpha. Anything we talk about in Project Loon or any other game will be public knowledge from the AMAs, the town halls, the announcements, anything like that. But a bit about what we are trying to do here. So we're just trying to help, I guess, bridge the gap. There is a huge gaming community in the world, and I personally have lots of gaming friends. I know Dank has a lot of gaming friends, and there is just this really high cost to get people from gaming over to play to earn. And I think one way that we can help bridge that gap is through education and just having this general chat about, what is play to earn gaming, how did it come about, what games are coming around. Like, there seems to be a new game every few days popping up in the crypto space at the moment. So having a general chat about what we see, what we like, what we think has potential in the future, and hopefully that can help people feel more comfortable in the space and learn a little bit as they go. That's our goal anyway. We're just here to help and to have some fun and to have some chats along the way. But a little bit about me. As I mentioned, I'm a High Council member in Project Loon, as some of you know. But I started in crypto back in 2017, getting in on one of those first bubbles. I had a lot of fun, and then pretty much forgot about crypto until earlier this year when I got back in just after the May dump. And since getting back in, I've been mostly in DeFi, but really sort of got stuck into Axie Infinity and had a lot of fun playing Axie Infinity and was able to make a bit of money, which is always nice. And from there, I sort of just got more and more excited about play to earn gaming, and I realized that this is potentially the future of gaming and something that I really wanted to be involved with. So I've been learning a lot about different games from Axie to Splinterlands to Illuvium coming up and Star Atlas, and of course Project Loon. There are many, many, many that I have been reading up on. So it would be great to share some of that knowledge and what I've learnt with you guys. How about you, Dank? Do you want to give us a brief intro?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll kind of tackle the question from like the two main perspectives in my mind, one being the gaming aspect and then the other being like the crypto aspect, and then I guess how, I bridge them together. So as far as being a gamer, I think like a lot of us, really dug into like Pokemon initially when I was younger. It's just one of those things that it just never left me. I grew up in that time where you would have people telling you, oh, don't focus on video games, focus on something that's going to, become a career, focus on something that's, you know, going to allow you to achieve something in the future. And, despite all of that, I couldn't shake it as a hobby. Well, lo and behold, as we've all seen, throughout these years, we've just seen quite the opposite. You see all sorts of, blooming uh, um, portions of the industry that are just allowing people in many different walks of life to turn gaming into a career. It's just absolutely fascinating to me. And from a personal kind of standpoint, I was actually able to see this. I had a friend of mine who he was the younger brother of a very close friend of mine, as a matter of fact. And I mean, this kid would be playing Call of Duty 24/7. and he is now a professional player. I'm not going to give too much information about him personally, but you know, you do a little bit of digging around, you can find him. He plays on Steve Aoki's team, or formerly played on Steve Aoki's team, and it was absolutely fascinating, kind of talking to him when everybody would be back in town for the holidays and whatnot, and just seeing what he's been able to achieve throughout that. So, for me, I never really thought of myself as a skilled enough person to play competitively, because most of what I see in terms of gaming and making money, there's really main niches, I feel like, that you have to occupy, or at least that's my perspective, to really be able to make that money. And that's either you have to be very good competitively, or you have to be some sort of content creator streamer. Those are like the main two avenues. Of course, if you're a developer and whatnot, but that's more so on the technical side. I'm thinking more from the entertainment side. So those are kind of the two main avenues that I have always seen, and it just always seemed like more of a daunting task, right? So kind of getting into this idea of play to earn gaming, and just it makes me feel like a kid all over again, but at the same time I can take care of my adult responsibilities. You know what I mean? Like, that's the idea. I'm like, you know what, is this something that I could potentially turn into a career? You know what I mean? Where I'm just sitting here playing video games, having a good time. And as we talked about, through streaming and competitive gaming, there are people that are already doing this. But for those of us that don't necessarily fill those particular niches, it's like, what other opportunities are there available? So that's what really got me about the space in general. So that's kind of, I guess, a little bit of my background as far as gaming goes, and then leading into crypto. As far as like what got me into crypto, I'm a bit of a late bloomer, I guess. I didn't really get into it until last year, and I was always one of those people that was kind of, it was on my radar. You know what I mean? I would always see these markets going up and down. I remember back in, well, what was it, 2014 or 15, I had a friend of mine send me some link where you could watch YouTube videos or something like that, and they would just give you free Bitcoin. I thought it was a scam. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't care at the time. I had no knowledge of cryptocurrency, but at that moment, it was just kind of on my radar. And then as time went on, I saw everything back in 2017, but didn't have I didn't pull the trigger at that point. I didn't feel confident enough at that point to just throw something into it and see what happened. But with all the craziness that's been going on in the world, I just was like, you know what? Why not give this a shot and see what I can do with it? And for many of us, a lot of us know it's been an absolutely crazy ride. And getting deeper into it and seeing how, we're hearing all this stuff about like the metaverse, and Facebook is talking about it now, and we're seeing all of these metaverse coins blow up. So this idea that used to just be more of a more of like a pipe dream, honestly, it seems more of like a reality now. We're more like, it can become a reality, and we're so early in this. It's just, absolutely fascinating to me what it could turn into. I mean, I think a lot of us have seen or read the book Ready Player One, and the more I see a lot of this stuff, like Blocktopia, for instance, for anyone that's familiar with that. I mean, just the multiverse, the metaverse that they're creating. I mean, we're all going to be uploaded into a computer sooner than we know it. And it's just really fascinating to me that we live in this time.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Like all of these sci-fi, well, not all of these, but there are sci-fis and fantasies and stuff like that that people thought up in the 90s or the 2000s, and suddenly it's like, wait, we all thought it was just fiction and crazy, but it actually sort of, as the tech catches up, it sort of seems to be happening, which is it's quite mind-blowing and exciting. Like there are just so many ways this could go. But you sort of touched on something there that I wanted to also talk about, which was this, we all heard about Bitcoin in 2014 or 2012 or 2011 or whatever, but it was always going to be like, oh, it's a scam, or it was too hard to get into, there were too many roadblocks. And I think that's something that P2E can really sort of bring people in. And with Meta and and becoming more and more mainstream every year, I feel like crypto becomes more and more mainstream, and it's just waiting for one big catalyst to really get people across. And I feel like play to earn or gaming in general could be that. So it's sort of why we wanted to start our podcast or our session today with just some general P2E questions. Um, so feel free if anyone has any general P2E questions to either raise your hand or put them in the Legion chat, and we'll get to them. But I guess a little bit for people who are new, and I mean, I'm assuming most people know all of this already, but I'm going to assume everyone here is new. So in terms of where gaming has come from, we've sort of come from a pay-to-play sort of aspect where, you in the 90s or 2000s, you would go down to your computer shop, you would buy your computer game on a CD, you would come running home, chuck it in the computer, install it, and play. And so, you're spending, I don't know, 50 bucks on your computer game and you are paying to play. And that sort of evolved with, I guess, as the internet and as mobiles came out, that we sort of moved to like a free to play era, which was effectively free downloads, free games. But I mean, for a lot of games, there was a pay aspect where you needed to pay to progress quickly or really to progress at all. So companies made their money by getting you into the game and then making it too hard to play without paying a little bit. Um, and that has sort of evolved again into this play to earn era, where instead of not only are the games, well, some of the games free to play, but now the companies are paying you to play their game, whether that be in in-game tokens or NFTs or things like that. So suddenly the power is sort of shifting even more so towards the player, because that they get to own their skins and they get to own their assets and trade them. And I think that's just really exciting and something that we haven't really seen before. I mean, there have been attempts in the past, and there have been private sort of sites that have set up for trading things between games or in games, sorry, but they've always been shut down and they've had issues. And I feel like blockchain technology suddenly makes this available. And I wanted to sort of break down even further the play to earn aspect, because there are two sort of streams that we're seeing currently, which is the pay to play to earn, which is your Axie Infinity, where you pay for assets that you have to have to play the game, and you're free to play to earn. And that is going to be something like Splinterlands, for anyone who knows that game, where you start the game, or Gods Unchained even, you start the game, you get a free deck of cards, and that allows you to play the game and to start earning money. And one question that I do get a lot is, isn't it just all one big Ponzi scheme? Like, isn't it if you get your money in early and then earn your money and get out, as long as you're not the last one out, you should be okay? And it's a super complicated question. But one of the things that I did want to bring up is the Axie model, the pay to play to earn. And I think people who have the it's all just a Ponzi scheme argument have more merit in the pay to play to earn space, because it costs, $1,000 to set up an Axie team, or a reasonable Axie team. Probably you can get by with like $700 if you want an ordinary Axie team. And so in many respects, they're sort of not wrong. That economy is built up a lot on hype, because the price of the Axies is completely dependent on the demand for new starters. Once you have your Axies, you don't need to buy any more Axies. So the Axies are only valuable if more and more players are wanting to get into the game. And then, of course, when those players start running out, or interest dies down, Axie prices will fall. And then people will just try and potentially flood to get out of the game, which creates that sort of, Ponzi scheme, I guess, effect. And one way, I guess, people are trying to counter this, and I've spoken about it before, and Sorcerok and the team here have really spoken about it a lot, is content. And if the game has good content, then people will stay engaged, and people will stay involved. And I think that's going to be one of the big differences between games that are appearing now and games that are appearing in a few years in this space. Because the games that are appearing now are sort of very heavily mechanics sort of based. It's all about how much can I earn, how quickly can I get other people to earn for me, sort of thing, without really telling much of a story. So I think without that sort of content to latch players on and to keep them involved, we will see a lot of these Ponzi schemes. You can't see me, but I'm using air quotes here. Um, that do sort of pump and dump as people rush in to earn as much as they can and then get out again. I am a little bit worried that this will hurt the market in general, or the industry in general, that people will get burnt and it will turn people off play to earn and crypto gaming. That is a concern that I do have, but I feel like if we get enough good quality games and dev teams that are committed to building out their futures and their ideas, that it shouldn't be an issue. And the other side of the coin to this, as I mentioned, was the free to play to earn. And this sort of, I guess, in my mind, debunks the whole Ponzi scheme theory. Because if you're not putting any of your own money in to get started, you're not really risking anything. So if I can pick up my mobile phone, download an app, play a game, and get some sort of reward token, well, the only cost to me there is time. And if I'm willing to put in my time, well, then that's okay. Like there is no monetary value going in. I am not pumping up the economy necessarily with my own initial money. So it's not falsely inflated or anything like that. So I feel like, and I know this team is sort of going down that path, this whole free to play to earn is actually where the future is going to be. Because if I can download a game, play it on a browser, play it on my mobile phone for free and earn, and the content is there, why would I ever spend $1,000 on an Axie team um, in an economy that I'm just not really sure about and a game that I don't necessarily like? So I think this free to play to earn space is probably the one to watch. I mean, we're still early. We're going to see how it develops, but yeah, I think it's quite exciting, and we'll see what happens. I have just seen that Alex is online, so we will try and get him up in a. But yes, Dank, do you want to try and get Alex up, and I will throw to some of the questions in the chat because I saw a few of them come.
I will do that.
Yeah.
Hello, welcome.
How's it going?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Busy day today?
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. I'm just going to finish up answering some of these questions in the chat, and then we'll get straight into the interview. If that's all good.
Sure.
All right. So, Marcophone, you said you've been playing Axie, Peter E. like Axie. Can you share experience? My initial, initially I loved it. I loved the concept that I was getting paid to play a game that I enjoyed. But as with Axie and a few games that I have sort of picked up, and what I mentioned about with the content, my interest sort of died down really quickly. There, there, there isn't much to it. You're just battling other teams. Everyone has the same or similar teams. There are like 3 or 4 main teams that everyone has, and you're pretty much just grinding to earn money. So the fun aspect dropped off really quickly, which is why I'm really keen for the new games to sort of come on and bring in this story and this lore and this content. And I think that will be the big difference going forward. Hopefully that answers your question. I can talk for days and days, and you'll have to listen in for new podcast episodes about different games that we played, because we plan to go through um, a different game or two pretty much every episode, unless we're interviewing people. So do stay tuned. And I think that was about it, which is cool. All right, so maybe let's jump into having a chat with Alex. How are you going, Alex?
Going good. Busy as usual. Days start at 7 and at 2 a.m. sometimes.
Man, that sounds rough. All right.
Yeah, but it's worth it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Do you want to get us started by just telling us a little bit about yourself and your background?
I am from Uruguay, South America. I am 31 years old, and I've been gaming since I was 4 years old. Started way back on the Nintendo family console, Atari. I also had a Amiga. Not a lot of people I knew had those since they're way before my time, but everything was pretty fun back then. And the things that you could get here in South America were much older than what you can get now. Uh, right away. So we were kind of behind the times. But yeah, so I've been working in the gaming industry. I have about 6 years of experience, but I've been working customer service for well over 10, 11 years now, and I've always had this passion for wanting to help people, um, but always wanted to lean more towards players. So that's why that got me into the gaming industry. And yeah, here I am now. This is, I believe, this is my fifth or sixth company I've been working with, gaming company.
Oh, wow. So quite a lot of experience in that regard. So one question that I have is, what games in particular, or experiences that you've had in games, do you most draw inspiration from, or were kind of things that you recall that really pushed you to consider this as a career?
Oh man, quite a lot actually. So if I want to go as far back as the 90s, I'm not sure how old you guys are, but back then there was this magazine in the US called I think it's Power by Nintendo, and at the end of the late 80s, they were doing like player support. So basically, they had these people like sit in a desk like 10 or 14 hours a day waiting for phone calls to come in to help people with a game they were stuck in. um, I forget what that was called, but I found that so cool, that the fact that like being a gamer and like nobody listens to your parents are like, yeah, sure, go play your game, or you had to go out and buy a magazine and see if they had the answer to what you were trying to do, um, was in there, and it ended up not being there. And having the opportunity of calling somebody to directly ask them, hey, I'm stuck on the fourth map of Zelda, or I'm stuck on this one part in Super Mario, how do you get through, and them having an answer for you right away. I always found that so cool. And I know that started in the late 80s and ended sometime in the 90s. And I remember buying the magazines at GameStop, and what we had back then, and in the late 90s too, it was called out um, Coin Game Land. And it was always fascinating for me that that there was actually people that you can connect with, and that like cared about what you did inside of a game. So it always made me feel like the industry was a lot more real than it was to your surroundings, because around you have your mom, your dad, or your brothers, or anyone else, and no one really cares, because it's like, oh, that's just a video game. And I'm so happy to see that the industry has grown to such an extent where it's no longer just a video game. People could do anything inside video games pretty much. And we've gotten to the point now, as you guys were talking about B2E, where um, it's a place where you can actually earn money, and it's no different than going out and getting a job. And so a few games that actually motivated me. I'm a big fan of the Final Fantasy series. Um, I've been playing them since the 90s. Some of them never made it out of Japan. Some were renamed something different. I believe it was like Final Fantasy 5 was Final Fantasy 3 and things like that. And just the storylines, the hero saving the planet and finding friends along the way to try and make everything happen, and receiving help from unknown sources, or um a weapon or things like that, just to make the game feel as though you're progressing and not just like this omniscient being. It's kind of like the average Joe, like you and I, and having to work hard to beat the game, that really drew me in. There's quite a few other games, but I'd have to go with Final Fantasy with that one.
And Final Fantasy right at the top of the list. I'm sure a lot of people definitely agree with you on that one, including my brother. He's a huge, huge fan. So yeah, very, very awesome. You had mentioned player support. Is that a role that you're currently in? And you seem to express a great deal of interest. Could you kind of like go over, maybe some of that in greater detail, and maybe perhaps some like really good experiences you had working in that particular space?
Absolutely. So, uh, let me rewind a bit. Let me see. The first gaming company that I ever play on did support for was 505 Games through a company called 5CA out of Germany and Argentina. 505 Games, Eve Online, and well, now they're known for quite a lot of other games, but back then mostly Eve Online. Um, and it was new to me. I had been working customer service for a very long time, but I never stumbled upon anything like that because um, the way that they handled their employees was so much fun. It was it wasn't like you were stuck in a cubicle or you were scolded by your boss for slacking off. They actually encouraged you to play games. It would actually make you play games in some aspects. They would hand you whatever game they had on the list and be like, all right, play this game, learn it a little bit. We're gonna give you manuals. Um, and having being able to sit down and instead of feeling it like a job, it feels like you're talking to a friend because people would call in and either be stuck or they had a problem with transactions or they also maybe had some technical error with the game, like it's not launching or it's not working. And it just when I first worked there and I started seeing how different it was from regular customer service, I was like, This is what I want to do." And there's I also started noticing that there was little things here and there that weren't there that I wish there were. But yeah, pretty much that's how I got started in player support, and that's what I want to do moving forward, if possible.
So when you say things that weren't there that you wish were, what do you mean by that?
Well, um, it's so with games, and I actually had a talk about this with Meg. Um, it seems as though there's a lack of human interaction in game in player support with gaming companies. Um, Most of the times you go into a game nowadays, and what happens is you have a problem or a bug or an error. You don't have anyone live you can talk to. You just they make you fill out a form, and then maybe somebody gets back to you through email within 48 hours or 72 hours. And that aspect of a game can turn some people off, because sometimes they're experiencing a problem, or if they end up having too many problems with the game, they end up quitting. And I feel as though, to some extent, customer support and player support are a big part of a company, and that's you have to have somebody ready there to help whoever bought your game or whoever decided to play your game. Otherwise, they're just going to go away. And that seems to be the case across all the whole you know the whole map. I believe we were talking with her about, let's say, League of Legends. In League of Legends, to report something, you just get a pop-up and it tells you to write what happened, and that's it. And you never hear back from anybody ever again. And it's very frustrating in games where you have a level of toxicity where other players like to mess up or play around just for the heck of it. And it's something that we've spoken about with this project too. Like we want to make sure that people feel like it's not just like not everyone treats a game just as a game. Like especially in P2E, people treat it as a means of income at some point, and or they can, and we want to make sure that we have player support ready for them in a personalized manner as quickly as possible in the event that something serious happens or something's going on that might push the player to walk away from the game. And so yeah, that's something that I've always kind of wanted to change in the industry. It's something that's kind of lacking. I believe as time progresses, it's happening with everything, not just games. Like Amazon, before you can just grab their phone number and call them. Now there's a chat feature, and sometimes it's really incredibly hard to find that chat feature. They just want to solve your problem with a bot. Like they don't want you to talk to a human. So that's kind of becoming a problem. It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the time lag because it immediately threw me back to my childhood when I was playing Donkey Kong on 64 and I got stuck. and I reckon I was stuck for days. And this was like back in the early days of the internet, and I was like trying to search for things and things like that, and just like nothing was coming up, and it just completely threw me off the game. And I ended up going back like years later and being able to search Reddit or something came up with a solution, and it was just the most obvious solution. Like I really should have been able to figure it out myself, but I think I was, quite young at the time. But having that time or that distance or how long it took to be able to find help, it just completely threw me off the game, and I just stopped playing. So yeah, I think it is quite a critical aspect.
I was just gonna say to piggyback off of that real quick, like I absolutely like everything that I do online. I had an issue with eBay the other day, and it's just one of those things that has just absolutely driven me nuts. It's like we're supposed to be getting more and more technologically advanced, yet at the same time, when it comes to customer support, it almost seems like we're going backwards. So, that is absolutely something that I feel like is becoming more and more of a problem in many industries, especially in the gaming industry when it comes to support. And I absolutely have stopped playing games because I never got any sort of answer, in regards to, maybe I was stuck in or some glitch here or stuck there, whatever the case may be. So, yeah, I absolutely hear you loud and clear when you talk about the direction that all of that is going in.
For sure.
All right, so moving along. So Alex, kind of bridging, I guess, these two worlds. Let's start with what got you started in crypto, or what kind of background do you have in that, if any?
Oh man. Okay, so I started trading crypto back in 2013. I had just kind of like heard it from a buddy, like, hey, Bitcoin is the rave and whatnot. And I was like, sure, let me try this thing. And like everyone else, I got online and I started learning about what the blockchain was and how to make a wallet maybe I shouldn't say this because people are still hurt over it, but Mt. Gox and and a lot of people back then used changes that are not around anymore. Some of them kind of exit scammed, others just that died along the way. But but yeah, I for some reason I always thought that that was going to be the future. I said, you know what, digital currency, that's something that's going to be big one day, and I'm glad I stuck by it. But at the same time, I um I lived through a time, over 8 years ago or so that um I wasn't as financially stable, so any crypto I made, I used to spend. And I kind of regret it nowadays. You know how many bitcoins I had back then? Oh man, I I you don't even want to, but yeah, and so, I used to trade crypto a lot. I used to hodl sometimes. Prices started increasing little by little. One of the first companies that I ever approached for support was WireX. I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard, but it was the first crypto debit card in the world where you can sign up and they'd send you a crypto debit card from Visa or Mastercard. At the time, they were using Visa, um, and yeah, you could just deposit your money into the wallet inside of your WireX account, and then you can choose to have it converted to fiat, whether that was USD or GBP or EUR. Um, didn't really matter to them. They did all three. I think they had different five currencies. Um, and you can just use your debit card anywhere. You could use it to buy online. You could use it to go into a store and buy with your debit card. It was an actual physical debit card sent to you. And I did that for a little while. Regulations started happening sometime mid 2015, and so that company became a lot smaller because they were a worldwide company. They would send debit cards anywhere in the world, and then after European regulation, they only did Europe because you needed a European address and whatnot because that they were working with banks out of Cyprus and all these other countries, and so yeah, that heavily got monitored moving forward as governments started realizing that crypto is a huge deal. We can't just let people use money and not know where it's going or it's coming. And then the next company I ended up working for is a crypto trading company. It's called Crypto Hopper. Um, you guys can look this up. It's basically a automatic trading platform bot. It's like a bot you connect to your exchange and it trades for you. It's very powerful. And yeah, and it's a lot different too. So like these two companies were completely different from regular customer support because you've got people that are either just starting out in the crypto world or they've been there for years, and you've got a lot of lingo you got to learn, and you've got whole lot of different problems that you're also having to deal with, like you're matching payments, or someone not sending enough fee to get a transaction to go through all the way on the chain, or yeah. So there was a lot of stuff that I had to learn that I did not know much about, but that I enjoyed very much learning because it meant that in the future, if something else ever came along, I would have the knowledge to be able to tackle it on head on. And
What?
so. Mhm.
Sorry, which customer did you find more difficult? The newbie who didn't know about MetaMask or about wallets, or like the tech genius who just knew everything already?
Definitely the tech genius, because technology has advanced pretty rapidly, and there's a lot of bugs here and there in specific things. And my time in Crypto Hopper, for example, we had people that were trading geniuses. Like I had, I can't really disclose, but we had people that would handle a lot of money, and they knew a lot about bots and a lot about features. Like things like dollar cost averaging, and using signal. If you're in crypto trading, things like what signalers are and indicators, MACD, you know things like that. So these people would come to me with like I can't get this to work, and I'd be like, oh, have you tried this? And they're like, I've tried everything. And you try and mirror it on your end, and it's still giving that same error. It's just you would have to end up escalating that issue to the actual devs of the company, because it's just there's no in between in the company. So that's the thing I've noticed. There's like no stage in between to someone you can escalate things to in the this kind of industry, because it's either everything there is to know about it, or a bit enough to get you by, or like to try and help somebody, whoever you're helping. And I feel as though that's going to change in the future. I'm sure there's going to be lots of geniuses, or even courses and things like that. And I don't know if in college or online, that teach you extensively about blockchain technology, and or like how to, I guess, trade and things like that. And I'm sure it'll get to a point where a lot of people, maybe younger than me, maybe older than me, that are going to start coming into to support, that know probably a lot more than I do.
Awesome. So you actually already answered one of my questions I was going to ask, and that was, do you have experience in the crypto slash blockchain industry as well? But that actually leads right into the next thing that I was going to ask, which is, since you have experience in both of these industries, when did the idea of play to earn slash blockchain gaming kind of hit your radar? And what were your initial impressions about these?
I first learned about it not too long ago. I'm not gonna kid you. This is fairly new, in a legal way, as you would call it. Because play to earn has been around for a very long time. I don't know if you guys know, but there's quite a few games that did that. Kind of off the radar. You guys know Second Life? Have you guys?
I haven't played it, but I have heard of it. Yeah, I have some
Yeah,
friends.
gets
Yeah,
thrown.
so that's it's a very old game. At this, well, very old, being way older than 10 years old. But a lot of people in that game would pay other people to work for whatever they had in there. Like a shop. Like if you had a bar or something, they would pay somebody real money to stay in there and chuck digital drinks at people that would come into the bar. And Yeah, I kid you not. And so like that, the models kind of started very, very long ago. Um, but game developers themselves didn't like that. They didn't like people earning off of their game. It was seen as taboo, and it happened across everything. Like like even in World of Warcraft and or RuneScape or Tibia or Habbo Hotel, all these really, really old 20-plus-year-old games that
Yeah,
people would go into and you know mine gold or whatever, scavenge millions of gold and then sell them online on website, things like that. And just developers didn't really like that. So I was aware of people earning from games. I actually did it myself too through RuneScape. I used to sell party hats back in the old RuneScape, yeah, on eBay. Like but the whole newer way that it's being done, with how we have like for example, I got into Gods on Chain a little while back, and I actually love that game. It reminds me a lot of Gwent. I'm not sure if you guys have played The Witcher, but yeah, the that's actually pretty new to me, and I think it's an amazing idea. We've gotten to the point nowadays with technology where we're going to start diving more into VR and things like that, and people are going to want to start spending more time making money at home if possible, because that's something that people have now learned that they can do thanks to the pandemic. Even though this pandemic is horrible, a lot of people are stuck in their house working from home, and they're like, wow, this is a thing. We can actually do this. We don't have to pay for an office. Oh man, that's even better. So like people are going to start looking for alternative ways to earn income, and a lot of people have turned towards blockchain or just crypto in general. And then having an option to play video games or do anything in a video game to earn money legally and at a steady pace, I think that's an amazing idea. I'm all
I think we can all say the same. Absolutely. So, the next thing that I wanted to know, and obviously I get that there are certain things that you cannot say, cannot give us too much alpha, but as far as, kind of initially meeting the rest of the team, what was that like, and the initial discussions, like what kind of got you excited about this project in particular?
oh, a lot actually. A lot. So yeah, there might be a little misconception that I might know a lot more than everyone else in here, but even I am kept in the dark about a lot of things, and I think it's a good idea, because the internal team, as I would call them, which is Meg, Belkin, Rock, and Gal, and a few other people. Um I w- Cypher and I are more kind of like uh a shell, keeping them away and safe. Like we're focused on security and things like that, and I also make it a thing where I don't like asking too many questions to the internal team. That way, I'm not exposed to having that knowledge, or if something ever happens to me, people know stuff and things like that. But the few things that we do know, it's an amazing project, and I feel as though it's gonna be one of the bigger projects in the gaming industry, because it's not just an NFT. A lot of people have come in here like, oh, what's this NFT for? Or this sucks, or oh man, it's just a picture of a floating space rock with
They're all the
with
same.
glowy lights. Yeah, and they don't really dive in and read the lore, or care to learn what the project really is, which is it's an actual game. It's not just a pretty picture for 3 Soul. So like um I think it's gonna do very well. They're doing something that has never been done before. Um and I met the team. How long have I been here now? I don't even know anymore. But yeah, it's been like I've been with the team for about 3 months now, or almost 3 months and a half. Um, and I first met Meg, and she's a very kind person. She's very knowledgeable. Um, Belkin too. They're very, very good people. Um, and Rock. Well, you guys all know Rock. he could throw alpha at you all day if he was allowed to. But but yeah, I was really amazed to come across people that have a lot of experience in the gaming industry and just in technologies. And I look forward to seeing what this is going to bring, because I feel as though this is the beginning of something for the whole industry. They're going to be the first ones doing stuff that hasn't been done before, and that's going to kind of open a pathway to other companies wanting to do the same. And I feel as though people are going to start approaching Arrivant as a company, and maybe not now, but it will in the future. And it's good to be there, like to see it happen and to be a part of it. So I'm definitely excited.
Yeah, I think we all are. I mean, I really like actually that, they don't keep you in the dark, but also at the same time they keep you in the dark because I guess it also means that you get to enjoy the alpha and the excitement and like the new announcements and things like that. So
Exactly.
it's kind of cool that you get to be part of the team, but you still get to enjoy all of that cool stuff as well.
hmm I actually I lurk a lot, and I look at you guys decode messages, and it's kind of like teehee. That's not the right answer. Things like that. But it's fun.
Um, if it's all right with you, Alex, we'll throw open to anyone in the crowd or on the chat. Anyone that sort of wants to ask Alex any questions. But one other question I think we had was, what are your goals here? So what are your goals for working on Star Garden? What do you hope to get out of this project?
I want to, if possible, make it. As I said, for player support, I want to start off the ignition that changes the whole gaming industry as a whole for player support. And I think Project Loon is the perfect example of a game that's gonna be like on the radar when it comes out and prior to coming out, and people are gonna start seeing how support is being handled, how it's a lot more hands-on rather than you talking to a computer or sending an email. Because I really want to push for that. Um, and as a role here in the community, I want to make sure everyone's safe. I'm very proud of the fact that we're one of the few projects that have not had any bad things happen to us, and that's because Sniper and I don't sleep. we, we're always like
We
you
noticed.
guys aren't aware, but we get hit by raids every single day, things like that, and we have bots in place, we have a lot of security, we have people DMing us, we have a lot of people trying to scam through DMs, things like that, and it's just our goal is to make sure that none of that happens to anyone, including you guys. Like that's why we always encourage everyone to keep their DMs off, or if you have anyone impersonating us, to tell us right away. And I just want to make this fun, like for the people that are here. I don't want anyone to feel discouraged or go off on social media like, I got scammed at this Discord, don't go there, and I think we're doing a pretty good job for the time being, so I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, I think you're doing an amazing job. I've certainly noticed it. How many big discords or play to earns are getting hacked? Like even yesterday, I don't know if you know Phantom Galaxies. They're sort of like this
Mhm.
space MMO game. They got hacked.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got hacked really bad, and some like one of their mods, I think it was, posted an announcement saying that, free stealth mint, not free stealth mint, but stealth mint, quickly click here and mint, only 4,000 available or whatever. And you just
Okay.
see shit like that happening all over Discord. So
Yeah, no, we've had it too during the mint. Um, that day I didn't sleep at all. That day prior, like 2 days prior, and that day we were all hands on. We actually managed to take down a few websites that are mirror website trying to scam people into minting, and then yeah, it's not easy, and it's hard because you enter panic mode, but you can't be all panicky because then people get panicky, and it's so it's kind of like you got to be the adult versus
yeah,
the children.
yeah.
But yeah, it's worked out so far. I think we've
No,
got kind of like a base of how to handle things.
you guys have done an amazing job, and I think it's quite comforting. I mean, everyone I speak to on the team um, has such a passion for what they do, whether it be you in customer support and security with Cyper, or Gal in marketing, and obviously everyone knows Belkin's passion for the law and stuff like that. So having everyone in their roles so passionate about what they're doing is something that's really great to see.
I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. Yeah, we put a lot of effort. The internal team more than anyone else. I know that for a fact that they sleep very little hours sometimes throughout the week. So yeah, when they decide to take off, it's like okay, like there's nothing to say. People they're very hardworking.
Yeah, I think that shows. Um, that's pretty much all we had. I just wanted to say a big thank you for coming on, Alex. I know you're incredibly busy, but it's been
Uh,
great having you here to chat with.
Indeed.
yeah, I'm glad. I I've I think since I've been here or since this has been going on, I haven't really come on stage to talk, have I?
Yeah, no.
But, but yeah, I'm glad to be here.
You were on one time. There was one time.
It was? I don't remember.
Was that the tongue twisters or whatever?
Oh right, right.
It was one of the past AMAs.
Your memory is better than mine, Dank. Thank you for coming on. We're hoping for everyone in the audience and listening, we're hoping to sort of do more of these, interview more of the team, but also interview people from other Play to Earns and other games. We're not an exclusive Project to Learn a Loon podcast. We're trying to hit a lot of different projects going on, and there are a lot of projects that we're pretty excited about. So do follow us on Twitter. This episode will be going up on the Project Alone YouTube, so have a listen. And I think we have Marbles coming on soon, so do hang around for that. And I just wanted to say a big thank you for everyone for listening, and to Alex and Dank, thank you. And we'll see you all soon.
Thanks.
Absolutely. More of the same from me. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you guys in these coming weeks and months.
Thanks all. Bye.